I think Fintech Americas is really one of the leading organizations putting on these types of events. The scale is where it needs to be, well over 1,000 people. They consistently do events not just in South America, not just in Central America, but here we are in Miami. So they're making sure to cover all of the Americas. And the fact that they've managed to mix English and non-English presentations, provide translation, I think goes a long way to crossing borders and allowing ideas surrounding the open banking space to cross-pollinate from country to country. Something that we talk about very often on the podcast, the Mr. Open Banking podcast, is how different ideas can move from one region to another, from one country to another. One of the fascinating things about the open revolution is how differently it's adopted in emerging economies versus in established economies. In many ways, emerging economies actually have an advantage. In environments where open banking is coming into an established economy, an established banking system, it's actually relatively hard for it to take hold because you have established players and established systems that are trying to defend their turf in a way. On the other hand, in emerging markets, you often don't have these things. You have large unbanked populations, you have immature or non-existent payment rails, you have financial products that simply don't exist. That gives emerging markets an opportunity to often leapfrog established economies. So you see things like in Kenya and in Nigeria that affect where entirely new payment rails are introduced. M-Pesa was the term I was trying to remember. Out of Kenya, and led by a telecom, Safaricom. Likewise, in the Americas, what you see happening with things like Pix in Brazil are effectively moving beyond what you see in established markets. So I think in that way, counterintuitively, established markets can learn a lot from emerging markets in terms of how to be brave when it comes to innovation, in particular in the open banking space. I'm a big fan of his work around behavioral science and behavioral economics. He talks a lot about the strange ways in which people make choices. When it comes to sharing our data and controlling our data, gaining value from our data, which is very much at the heart of open banking, all the technology in the world is not going to help you if people don't adopt it, if people don't, frankly, take responsibility for their data. Oftentimes, the key to making that happen really comes from small changes in things like user interface and removing friction in the right ways. If you don't do that, then you can invest a great deal into implementing a wonderful system that does everything right from a technology standpoint, but users simply won't adopt it. So to hear Dan talk about that problem, which is really his entire body of work, puts a laser focus on how it might apply to consent, the way we manage our personal data, and in fact, the way we manage our money.